Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, welcome aboard. It is Friday, baby. You made it through. Glad to be with you again. Glad to have you with us. Guess what? The snow's still there. It's not going anywhere, but no surprise there. That's okay. Cold temperatures out there as well, but that's all right. We've got another great show on tap today. Alec Lasley will join us. Zach Osterman. Checking with our buddy Kevin Brockway. But how about some Unser Jr.? That's right. We're stretching the boundaries today, man. But looking forward to that as well. Always like to have fun. Always like to bring some different stuff to you guys. But one thing that's not different is the weather, and it's not going to change anytime soon. So just buckle down and expect it. The cold temperatures is is what we're going to have to deal with, of course. No big deal other than these single digits at night and barely getting. We're not going to see Monday maybe. And Tuesday, maybe breaking 32 degrees. But, yeah, what do you got to do? That's what sports are for, right? Basketball. Got plenty of hoops going on now to watch. Big Ten's really getting fun to watch. Who's going to end up winning the Big Ten? Indiana on a two-game winning streak. They head west. And that's going to be a tough challenge, no doubt. Winning at Pauley Pavilion will be tough, and USC has been playing well. But if they could come out with a split, that would be a positive for the Hoosiers and keep their postseason hopes alive. But we'll talk more about that. Alec Lasley will join us, and Zach Osterman as well. Let's see. Oh, some other big games tonight, though, in the tonight that are on the schedule in the Big Ten. Michigan at Michigan State. Michigan's already passed one big test this week. They took down Nebraska, handing the Cornhuskers their first loss of the season. Puts Michigan kind of in the driver's seat for the Big Ten title. Ended a 24-game winning streak by Nebraska. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's crazy. It was so funny before, the last couple of seasons. How many times did we talk about Indiana basketball and Nebraska football being very similar? Well, my, oh my, how things have changed. It's beyond weird how things have changed. And you look at the Big Ten standings. You got some teams locked in together at the top, man. Here we go. 9-1, 9-1, 9-1, 9-1. 4 teams at the top of the Big Ten Conference at the a little over halfway mark, but with one loss. You want to make sure. That makes Purdue and Wisconsin, who are only 7-3, it's a pretty good mark. They're out. They're out of the running. I mean, not logistically, but one would think that it's going to be hard for all four of those teams that are above them to just fall off the shelf. Of course, Michigan and Nebraska have been the two that have stood above the others. They're up there, but Michigan State and the Illini are up there as well. Illinois just with a huge win in West Lafayette over Purdue a few games back. And that kid that had 43 points for Illinois is a freshman that came off the bench. Wow. Brett Underwood has just reloaded every year for like 4 years in a row. I mean, they're getting better as this season rolls on. So I think that you've got 3 teams that could legitimately win the national championship from the Big Ten, and 3 teams that could probably, I mean, Michigan, I don't want to eliminate Michigan State from any of this. They're also sitting there at 9-1. But I think that Nebraska, Michigan, and Illinois, probably the best 3 out of that group. But I think that all 3 of those could, well, maybe all 4 of those could possibly win a national championship. Does the Big Ten get that monkey off its back this year? Haven't won since 91. Got to get off the schneid. We'll see if they can. I think that it would be what a hell of a year it would be for it to happen. Man, the Big Ten has officially taken over as the big boy in college football after winning their 3rd straight national championship on the backs of the Indiana Hoosiers' 16-0 undefeated season. And now if they were to turn around and win the basketball national championship, Greg Sankey, I don't know what he would do. He would have to take a long vacation someplace. Couldn't happen to a better conference. I love it. I love it. Hey, what do you got planned for the weekend, man? The Hoosiers are on the road. Football's over, although, and see, we don't have there's no NFL. Super Bowl's off this week. I mean, we've got another week until the or am I allowed to say that? That is the dumbest thing in the world. I actually thought about that. I was posting something. I'm like, am I allowed to write that? The NFL is so ignorant about that. It's a Super Bowl. It's a Super Bowl. It's called the Super Bowl. What are we supposed to say? It's the Super Bowl. You all called it that. Now you don't want us to use it? Who do you have winning the Super Bowl, by the way? How about the upstart Patriots? And how do you use the word upstart with the Patriots, who have the most Super Bowls in the history of the NFL? Drake May, former North Carolina quarterback, ironically, which is where Bill Belichick is now, who was snubbed from the Hall of Fame. That's still a point of contention. Release the votes. Release the votes. I want to see who voted. Everybody wants to see who voted. How is that going to end up? Will there be changes made? I promise you they're going to do their best to try to protect the anonymity of those people because they know how embarrassing it would be all the way around. Hell, it's already embarrassing. There was a survey. The SEC surveyed fans on the state of the conference, Indiana, and the future of the sport. Out of the Athletic, as I think I said. It starts out by saying, by and large, SEC football fans are humbled. However, they're not in a panic based on the results of a reader survey by The Athletic. The SEC will continue to produce the best TV product in the sport, arguably better with the parody, wrote Joe, a reader. See, again, this is crap. They think they're producing the best because they think these teams are better than they are. They're not. Texas was not the best team in the country last year. They're not the best team in the country next year. But they're already thinking that crap. They've got to get this until they get this woefully incorrect perception out of their head that these SEC teams are good. Once again, Tennessee was in the top 25 all season long without not only a single win over a top 25 team, they didn't have a win over a team with a winning record. But I digress. Yeah, it's that. Hey, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll get Alec Lasley in here. We'll talk about the Hoosiers as they head west, and we'll talk more about everything. Appreciate you being with us here on this Friday. We're ready to head into the weekend. Hope you are too. We're back with more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Ball in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. Hey, happy Friday. It's always happy Friday. What are you talking about? Every Friday's happy. Alec Lasley joining us from thehoosier.com. And Indiana basketball gets a gigantic win, and right in the nick of time. And not to say that it changes a lot for them, but it gives them the opportunity to change some things. But it showed that they can beat these teams, some of these teams, the teams that they're going to have to battle with, Alec, because they're going to live on this bubble for the rest of the season. There's no doubt about that. But to be on the right side of that, they're going to need another win or two, like they just got over Purdue, which was huge. The ranked team, one of the upper level teams in the Big Ten, and the confidence it gives you in winning a game like that.
No, absolutely. Look, I mean, it was no secret they needed a win like that to really hang their hat on when it came to anything related to the NCAA tournament and their resume. So from that standpoint, right, that was step one. Obviously, the next standpoint was getting that first signature win for Darren DeVries and kind of getting the monkey off of his back. Obviously, it has not been smooth sailing over the course of the last month. So to really kind of ride the Rutgers win, which I think was a very, very good all-around performance for this group, and being able to then put together another, about 39-minute performance. The last minute of the game was a little bit shaky there for Indiana, but putting together almost another full game there against Purdue, I think really gives this team a lot of confidence. Obviously, a very, very crucial 2-game stretch going out west where a lot of things can happen. But UCLA, a team that has a lot of potential to not only make the NCAA tournament, but obviously win a game or two with the talent that they have. So that's a critical game for them. Obviously, remaining at least 500 on this road swing is critical. You can't drop 2. Obviously, it'd be great to pick up 2 wins, because you look at what they have after that. Wisconsin, who probably one of the more inconsistent teams in the Big Ten this year, but a team that has gone on the road, won at Michigan, but then also loses a double-digit home lead to Southern Cal a week later or 2 weeks later. So that you never really know what you're going to get with them, but a team that has proven to be able to win some big games. You have Oregon at home after that, but then the 2 that you really look at are back-to-back road games, middle of February at Illinois, at Purdue. So best guess is you're not going to get both of those, right? It's going to be extremely difficult to get both of those games on the road. So let's
be honest, they're not going to win either of those games on the road.
You never know, right? I mean, I think you look at this Purdue team, and they're a very flawed team at this stage.
They are.
And Indiana had a phenomenal game plan. Obviously, the crowd played a lot into that, but I think confidence can do a lot. And so that's why I look at these next 4 games, right, are all extremely, extremely winnable games. And so if you can pick up even 3 wins in this next 4-game stretch, whatever 3 wins they may be, right, you're going to have at least 1 win over a tournament team. And so that's going to boost your resume again. So as long as you don't get blown out and don't lose any kind of ground that they've made up metrics wise, that's going to be the biggest thing going into then those 2 road games against Illinois and Purdue middle of next month.
Yeah, I think that they need to split this West Coast swing, and UCLA, to be honest with you, I think they need to beat USC. Beating UCLA would be better for the metrics, but that's a tough ask. This is a team that just beat Purdue out there in Pauley Pavilion, so they're tough. They're also a team that's fighting similar to Indiana. They're not up there in the top of the Big Ten standings, so they're fighting as well. But they're Indiana, after having lost at Minnesota, they're going to have to make that up. Every time you lose one of those games, you've got to make that up someplace. And a win over, say, USC, I think that would be a fine split for the Hoosiers as they come out of that and maintain some what's the confidence that they had to get by winning over Purdue, because Purdue is one of the better teams. There's 5. I was just talking about it. There's 4 teams in the Big Ten that might be able to win the national championship right now. So that's
who are the 4?
Michigan State, Illinois, and who am I missing? Oh, Nebraska.
Okay.
I don't know about Michigan State. I don't really. It's
I
the
think
other three
I
are
think
the strongest.
there's two. I think there's two. I think it's Michigan and Nebraska. I don't think Illinois has. I mean, look, they've played great. Obviously, what they did going on the road and beating Purdue in Mackey's difficult place to win anywhere in the country. So that's big. Michigan State, obviously, I don't know. They've just had too many. You know, the overtime game to Rutgers, they almost get beat by Penn State as well. Not to say that, you know, a national championship level team, you know, can't have those close games. It just seems like they I don't know. I'm not sold on Michigan State as a national championship team. I think
I agree with you.
In Michigan 100%. And I think if Nebraska was healthy in that game against Michigan, we'd be looking at Nebraska as still undefeated the way that they've played. I mean, that's a terrific team. And the coaching that Fred Hoiberg's done this year, I think, is night and day difference than what we've seen in years past. But yeah, that Nebraska team, I think, is extremely dangerous when they're fully healthy.
There's no doubt about that. And the Big Ten is going to roll on. This year having a big resurgence, the best conference in the country. And that also is going to help Indiana because so many of these teams are good, are looked at as national competitive. And so that will help Indiana's logistics, as in times past when it was kind of the opposite. But Indiana has to take advantage of their opportunities, Alec.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'll say, look, I mean, the difficult thing to swallow for Indiana are the home game against Nebraska and then that away game at Michigan State, where if they just split one of those two, obviously if you double-digit lead in the second half at home against Nebraska and they lose that, they are tied at 53 all before the 19-0 run that Michigan State had halfway through the second half. So those are two games that one or two things.
The Nebraska game is the one that sticks out to me just because of having that 16-point lead.
Yeah, 100%. But like I'm saying, one of those two games, because look, the second half of this schedule does not provide Indiana a lot of major opportunities. Yeah, you have Michigan State at home again, but the two games that we just talked about, Illinois and Purdue, both on the road, going to be extremely difficult to win those. They have Northwestern, they have Minnesota, Ohio State, Oregon, but you look at Southern Cal, bottom third of the Big Ten, Oregon, bottom third of the Big Ten, Northwestern, bottom third of the Big Ten, Minnesota, not really a tournament team, Ohio State on the bubble, right? So there's not a lot of clear resume boosting wins. There's wins that would continue to help Indiana's resume from a standpoint of just not adding another loss on there, but there aren't a lot of, you know, needle movers in terms of games outside of, I think, the UCLA game, potentially the Wisconsin, obviously that's at home. So that's, you know, going to be a little bit easier, quote unquote, from that perspective. But outside of the Illinois, Purdue, and Michigan State games, right, there's not a lot of huge resume boosting wins. So that's why the two games against UCLA and Wisconsin are going to be extremely critical to make sure that they go at least 1-1 for those two games to help that resume. Because I think you look at those three games, and I think it's, you know, easy to say they could go clearly 0-3 in Illinois, Purdue, Michigan State. But even if they go 1-2, beating at least UCLA or Wisconsin is going to help make up a little bit of ground there, because they just don't have a lot of other opportunities for signature wins.
Yeah, and this team they're not on the bubble at the moment. They're below the bubble, right? In your estimation, I don't. I mean,
look, I think the bubble's not as weak as last year. It's definitely better, but the thing that Indiana has going for them are the metrics, and that's one thing that they have never had going for them. Right now, I think they're clearly on the bubble. I think that win against Purdue really helps from a signature win perspective again. But it's the metrics, whether it's Ken Palm, Torvik, anything like that, the net, right, anything like that. They love Indiana, and that's the good thing when you're sitting here going into February. That has not been the case, and it's difficult to make massive jumps in those metrics at this point of year. And that's the only good thing from an Indiana perspective right now, is they beat up a ton on those teams early in the season. They didn't get necessarily blown out, right? I mean, you look at the Louisville game, I think you look at that and right, Louisville was up 15, 16 points, almost the majority of that second half. Indiana found a way basically on the back of Nick Dorn to make that a single digit loss, right? So that helps metrics there. And the Kentucky game, right, is probably that one that doesn't help a ton. But outside of that, I mean, it's really been Michigan State. They fought and scratch and clawed their way to keep that Michigan game within a respectable number when it was clear Michigan had total control of that. So they really haven't, from a loss standpoint, hurt themselves in a lot of games, whereas in years past, Indiana was getting blown out left and right, and that was the one thing that really hurt them because they weren't blowing teams out. And so the metrics are helping Indiana here. So that's why I think, they can kind of, win one, lose one, win two, lose one here coming in, and they'll be okay. But that's why you have to, these next three games, I think, are absolutely pivotal for Indiana here to be able to go into the Selection Sunday feeling comfortable because you never know what happens in the Big Ten tournament. I think one thing with this team, right? I think this is a team that could actually make some noise in a tournament setting, specifically the Big Ten tournament, that could help them because shooting teams, really hot shooting teams, all they need is one good game, and then you play the next day. And there's no time in between there. So that's the good thing, where this is a team, just like we've seen the last couple of games, once they get hot, you do not want to play this team from an offensive standpoint because they're going to continue to shoot the ball at a high level. And that's why I think they could potentially win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament that will help them, that obviously we don't know, what that schedule looks like, obviously at this point in time. But the next three games are critical for Indiana.
Yeah, there's a couple of comments up, and they don't really have any quote unquote bad losses. But if you're being honest, I put the Iowa loss at home as a bad loss. You got handled at home by a team that should be your equal. And that's the one that looks the worst on their resume right now to me.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree, just from a, optics perspective, at home and just got, completely manhandled from start to finish in that one. I think, the Minnesota loss looks better than what it was, but Louisville is not a top 10 team anymore. Kentucky's obviously, been extremely up and down. And then outside of that, lose to three other ranked teams in Michigan State, and in Nebraska. So again, the resume is not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. And that's where I think it's, you look at where we're at, turning the page into February, and it's just a much, much better spot than Indiana's typically been in. Not saying this is where Indiana wants to be. It's where they're at, so they're going to have to deal with it, but it's way better than what we've seen in years past, and that's the good thing. No matter how much you love or hate the metrics is going to be what wins out at the end, and Indiana's done a very good job in those categories up to this point, so that's something that they can obviously hang their hat on moving forward.
Well, the one thing that is no doubt that has made this team much better is the emergence of Nick Dorn as a consistent contributor and not just an average contributor. Man, he has stepped up to become one of the big three, I guess you would say, because you've had Tucker DeVries kind of struggling in the last month at least, and Nick Dorn has been the guy to support Lamar Wilkerson more often than not. And if they can get Tucker DeVries going, that will make this team a very dangerous team.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, we've talked about this now for even dating back to earlier in the season when he showed, a few flashes of what he was able to do. This is the Nick Dorn that, Darren DeVries talked about at the beginning of the season when he was still getting back from injury. This is the Nick Dorn that, everyone, I think, not even expected, but was hoping for. And the fact that he's, turning the corner, the last couple of games averaging over 18 a game, dating back to the Michigan game. So the last 3, he's making 4.7 threes per game, and that's at 50%. A clip there. So, he's not only being a consistent shooter, he's being the high volume shooter from 3 that Indiana hasn't had. And he fits exactly what this team needed, was a true knockdown shooter off the catch. They didn't necessarily have that. Lamar Wilkerson, obviously great either way. But the ball is in his hands a large majority of the time. And he's so good creating off of the dribble. To be able to have someone on the in the corner or on the wing to help kind of free up some additional space, because they can't leave Nick Dorn, obviously, and so that helps from that perspective. The thing is, I think he's, maybe this is not a outlandish take or anything. I think he's clearly the most important player for the next 10, 11 games that Indiana has on their roster. If he plays at this level, it's going to free up so much room for a guy like Tucker DeVries to kind of get back. We've seen him the last 2.5 games kind of get back to what he was early in the season. I thought, he didn't have the monster scoring output against Purdue, but played a lot better in that game, especially in the first half offensively, not forcing a lot. Letting the offense kind of come to him and letting the game kind of come to him. But I think that's going to free up so much for what Indiana needs from Tucker DeVries if Nick Dorn plays at this level. Not saying he needs to hit 5 threes a game like he has over the last 3, but he's a guy who's going to probably consistently hit 3 a game. And if he's hitting 3 a game, that elevates not only the ceiling of this team, but the floor of this team. And that's one thing that we've seen really high highs. We've also seen some low lows from an offensive standpoint, and finding that true third scorer, and specifically a knockdown high volume shooter was what this team was missing. And that's obviously what he's been able to provide. And we're looking at the last 3 games without a fully healthy Tatum Conaway. Obviously he didn't play against Purdue, came off the bench, played about 14 minutes against Michigan, played only the first 2 minutes of the game against Michigan, came off the bench against Rutgers. So, we'll see what he's like on this West Coast swing, Tatum Conaway, that is. But, once he gets back into it, I think you have to keep Nick Dorn in the starting lineup because of how he's playing. But that, I think, provides a lot of firepower and punch to allow Tatum Conaway the ability to go out and score with the second unit. And I think he's been much better for this team when he's looking to score and get downhill. And, it was something that I pointed out back at the end of December. Darren DeVries made a shift to bring Connor Enright on the ball a lot more frequently and make him be the primary ball handler. And so that's one thing that I think was a little bit underrated at the end of December, beginning of January. He's now clearly the point guard of this team. And you're seeing it with his assist numbers and his ability to get guys open, find people in transition in the secondary break. And so I think it's going to open up things for Tatum Conaway as a scorer off the bench moving into the second half of Big Ten play, assuming that he gets fully healthy here. We'll see where that's at, but that's obviously a critical aspect that we haven't really seen over the last couple of games.
Big schedule this weekend in Big Ten men's basketball, and that starts this evening with Michigan. Number 3 Michigan traveling to number 7 Michigan State. So, hey, snow's outside. It's cold. There you go. That's an 8 o'clock game on Fox to watch. And then tomorrow you've got Ohio State at Wisconsin at 2. Indiana is at UCLA at Pauley Pavilion at 5 o'clock. That's a Peacock broadcast. Rutgers at USC, and then Washington at Northwestern. Cap that off. And on Sunday, Purdue travels to Maryland. Can they end the Schneid, get off the Schneid and end this 3-game losing streak that they're on? Minnesota goes to Penn State. Illinois, number 9 Illinois at number 5 Nebraska. And then Iowa goes to Oregon. How can Oregon suck as bad as they do in basketball right now with all the money they have? hey, who knows?
And I mean, they brought back a couple key pieces from last year too. That's one of the more head scratching starts of the season so far from a win-loss standpoint is Oregon's season.
It certainly is. Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com with us. More coming at. We'll talk some football on the other side as Indiana continuing to make hay, and they've got a big weekend coming up right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is Fun Day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas from mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as we are each day here on each and every one of these stations. Make sure you keep it locked in all day, as a matter of fact. Alec Lasley's with me right now. And before I forget, I know that for those that are listening, you can't see, but if you're following on social media, I've got a football up there that currently celebrating the Indiana Football National Champions that you can own. This is historic, Hoosier Nation. The Indiana University football team just completed an undefeated 16-0 season, won the national playoff championship. It's a perfect run, a perfect national title, and memories that last forever. And now you can own a piece of that history. Introducing the Indiana University Hoosiers National Championship Limited Edition. There are only a certain amount of these made. Incredible football. It's embossed on 3 sides with multiple imprintations. The National Championship logo, of course. And you get, was it $5 off? But to reserve yours right now, call 800-345-2868. I'll put that up a little bit later, but that's 800-345-2868. Don't wait. The phone lines are buzzing. Celebrate that championship. Celebrate perfection. Celebrate the Hoosiers. 800-345-2868. Alec Lasley with us here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and this has been a more than historic season for Indiana, Alec, as we both know, but this is continuing. The recruiting, we knew it was going to step up, but right now they have, per On3, the #1 portal transfer class in the country, which that's huge because they're adding to pieces they already have, and in essence, on offensively right now, they're just picking up right where they left off.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, look, you get a guy like Josh Hoover coming in, Nick Marsh, Chaz Preston, bring back Charlie Becker, Turbo Richard, the running back, right? You have Kobe Martin, who's going to step up in a bigger role. Lee Beebe's back, right? That a lot of people, I think, were super excited about the first couple of weeks before the knee injury. So, look, you have exactly what you need from a playmaker perspective. You probably, may arguably have more playmakers this year, or I guess, in 2026 than what you had in 2025, because of the emergence of Charlie Becker, who, really didn't do anything until the second half, if not the kind of final third of the season. So, I mean, you have probably more overall, I think, talent offensively. You get Carter Smith back, which was huge for the offensive line. Joe Brunner comes in from Wisconsin. You have a lot of still, continuity. Bray Lynch is back, right, with the offensive line. So that's the positive. I think the big question is, who steps up and can kind of take on that leadership role from a center perspective. You go from Mike Kadick to Pat Coogan, to extremely, not just vocal guys from a standpoint of knowing when to speak and how to communicate with this team, but guys who knew how to step up and make their voice heard in key ways. So that's going to be critical at the center position. Defensively, right? I mean, you look at what they're going to bring back as well, and I think the couple questions are, what they can do from a kind of defensive line standpoint in terms of depth. Obviously, Tyree Tucker, Mario Landino coming back are huge. Daniel Ndukwe, the play that he had late in the season here, stepping up, is probably just going to carry over into next year. I think you have to give some grace to Brian Haynes and his defense, regardless of who they have, because he clearly has shown, right, their ability to find guys just to step into different roles mid-season, late in the year. Doesn't really matter. I think the thing with this team is you're probably going to have a little bit more versatility than what you had definitely 2 years ago. And I think you're probably going to have, just as much, if not maybe a little bit more versatility than what they had this season. Obviously, replacing the leader of the defense and Aiden Fisher is going to be critical, but they've done a good job filling in some key holes. Obviously, losing D'Angelo Pons is massive, but bring in a really, really good handful of guys from the secondary standpoint. So, I mean, when you're looking at all of that together, you got to be pretty excited about what this roster really will look like. I think Isaiah Jones, obviously, or Elijah Hardy are going to be two really dynamic linebackers. Who are probably going to be two of the best again in the country. I think the one area where I'm a little bit not concerned. Concerned is not going to be the right word here, but I guess we'll go ahead and use that, because I'm not really concerned at all with the Brian Haynes defense. But the one position that I'm a little bit curious of is going to be, what they obviously, have to kind of build off of. And that's the versatility with Devin Boykin. Obviously, his play this season was huge, and his versatility, being able to play in coverage and at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be interesting to see if Byron Baldwin steps up and, is that true kind of playmaker that everyone expects him to be. But I still think, trying to fill that role of Devin Boykin is going to be interesting to see where they go, because I think his role this year was obviously invaluable to what he brought defensively, being able to play at a lot of different spots on the field. And I think that's the one spot where I don't see a guy who is going to just be able to fill that role immediately. And, maybe we look back to at the beginning of this year, not a lot of people thought Devin Boykin would be that guy either. So, there's going to be a lot of room for growth over the next few months. Have all but 3 of the 2026 signees as early enrollees. So you're gonna have basically your entire roster on campus for spring practice, which I think is critical. Trying to fill a lot of different roles that they have in a lot of different positions. But yeah, the 2027 class already, I think top 25 in the country is probably shaping up to be, potentially a top 15 class when you look at it, just based off of who they have coming in already where they're standing for a lot of top players and all the names that continue to come on visits. And Indiana is not a team that's going to just wait around for guys. They know if guys want to jump on the opportunity to play for Indiana, they're going to take them. If not, then they're going to move on and find someone else. And then that's the part where
stop you right there, to be in that position, that
in 2 years.
Again, to be able to say, we'll move on. To be able to be that selective, it shows two things. Obviously, the one is the obvious part where Indiana's come to, but Alec, the more important thing, I think it shows their ability to be selective by selecting the right guys, by knowing these are the fits. And that is a gigantic part on why this team has been able to be successful with averaging 2.5 stars of talent.
Well, and that's why when everyone goes out and says, "Oh, Indiana just bought their roster," right? They have no idea what they're talking about. That's
total ignorance.
Because you look at the development that a lot of these guys have had. You look at the eye for talent and the fit, right? A lot of these guys, really didn't have a lot of suitors coming out of the transfer portal or even high school. And Indiana now builds them into, top 4, top 5 round NFL draft picks. So
this is not the bad news bears by any stretch of the imagination, but you if you are old enough to remember that movie or have ever seen it, the genesis of it was you had a bunch of kids that wasn't worth snot. But boy, did they grow a gigantic chip on their shoulder. Well, that happens to these guys who are good athletes and who get better and who are trained and who are developed. And boy, they get better and better, but that chip never leaves. That's the thing. They become a 4-star player or athlete, but that chip just grows.
Yeah, and that's why I think guys like Carter Smith coming back this year. You have Isaiah Jones or Elijah Hardy, Tyreek Tucker, right? These guys who are, were never Carter Smith maybe probably the one outlier there. But the other guys, right, never really thought of anything going into their college careers and continuing that standard with still a good group of guys who have been on this roster now for the first 2 years is critical in what I think is now the first big change from a roster standpoint, because you still had so much continuity last year, or I guess again this past season from the first year. This is the first year now going into 2026 where we're going to see a huge roster churn of a lot of those guys who really set the standard the first 2 years and going on from there.
Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Make sure you are a subscriber. They have tons of information there right now, all of what's going on this weekend with Indiana football and, of course, keeping up with Indiana basketball as well. Appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate it, Jim. Have a good one.
You have a great weekend. More coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Zach Osterman's going to join us, and Unser Jr. as well. We're back with all of that and more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, and you want to talk about a special treat. Oh my, Al Unser Jr., Indy winner, just winner in so many different series winners, comes from a family of racing, and we're going to talk about this. It goes way deeper than Al Sr. and Bobby Unser. I was just blown away. But first of all, Al, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, man.
You betcha. Thanks for having us on.
It was a blast. I got to meet Al last year at Bob Kravitz's charity golf outing, which Bob was on yesterday. And I meant to text him to tell him that you were coming on. And I forgot to do that, but I'll do that later. But another great guy. And it's awesome that you take the time to participate in that golf outing. That's not something you have to do.
Yeah, it was something that Bob called us and asked us to come out and be a part of, and it's a great foundation and that we work for, and so it was really good.
It was great to see you out there, but getting into the meat here, of course, Al Jr. is a IndyCar racer, winner 2 times in Indy. Their family has 9 Indy 500 wins, not Indy kart races. 9 Indianapolis 500 wins. How many are there? 110 maybe? I mean,
I don't know, something like that. But yeah,
I guess there's 150, but that's a pretty big percentage for one family to own, man.
Well, the Indy 500 was very fortunate and lucky to be a part of, and of course the results. It's so hard to win that race, and for my family to have that kind of success is a true blessing.
Well, it certainly is actually a blessing to the fans to get to see that, because people like to see winners win, and it doesn't matter what sport it is. If it's pro football, college football, basketball, they like to see the winners win and compete against each other. And man, your uncles and your dads and you always in an era where it was great. I mean, I was a kid, but I remember when your dad and your uncle were at their peak. You also had AJ Foyt and Danny Ungaius, and I can't even list them all. I know you know them by heart, but it was not one of those. It was one of those times where virtually there were 20 guys that could probably win that daggone race.
That's right. That's right. The height of it was really the early to mid 90s is when I felt that IndyCar was at its peak, and you've got Nigel Mansell in the race, Emerson Fittipaldi in the race, Mario Andretti in the race, of course, the Unsers, Johnny Rutherford, Gordon Johncock, AJ Foyt.
Oh, yeah.
All of these guys at the peak of their careers. And IndyCar racing was just such a great thing at that time. And honestly, I see it coming back. Roger's done a phenomenal job with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar as a whole. And so, they had an all-out sellout last year, which hadn't happened for several years, And so, I think really IndyCar racing is on the cusp of getting back to where we were in the mid-90s for sure.
Well, and it's funny you say that because I remember about 2 years ago, I was up in Indianapolis for a media availability for the 500, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a part of the broadcast crew. And I remember asking him, what can NASCAR do to get on the path that IndyCar is on now? Because it used to be the opposite. You had Dale Earnhardt and Kenny Schrader and the Waltrip brothers and all of these names that were just there for so long. And now it's all these young guys that people don't know. There's no superstar, but on the Indy side, man, Purdue, I mean, he dominated. I can't believe what he did. But it's not just him. There's so many big time stars now on the Indy side that they're the ones that are doing just that. And I'm like, wow, what a reversal.
Yeah, you've got Scott Dixon rewriting the record book. Totally, and Purdue is just a phenom that is just, is doing magnificent things out there. And so, NASCAR has all these young guys coming in and that sort of thing, and that's all good. I mean, as I've watched throughout my career of IndyCar racing, I got to the Indy 500 in the early 80s, and now watching it all the way through here, the minimum age of a race car driver has been just dropping lower and lower and lower in all forms of racing, not just IndyCar or not just NASCAR, but NHRA, sprint cars across the country. I mean, it's just, to be a young race car driver these days is pretty cool.
Yeah. Is that because they're all starting so much younger, go-kart racing when they're 3 or 4 years old and all of that?
Chances are, yes. And there's the other thing, which I call the fear factor. The young kid
don't care. They don't care.
Afraid to go out there and lay it on the line every single quarter. And so because he hasn't had any, what we call sheet time in the hospital. And so, the older driver, he's had some mechanical failures.
Sheet time. I love that.
The car's out of control. And so, but, all of racing is getting more safe and more safe. And so, the young kids are they're dynamite. And it's because they're starting so young.
But in NASCAR, it's hurting them because there are no stars. Even those young guys, one of the biggest stars still is Denny Hamlin, who's one of the veterans now of that sport. So that's the issue that they have to overcome, I think. And the racing has not been the greatest. They keep switching cars and types of cars. They've got to get that in order because NASCAR was huge.
Yeah, it was huge, but in time they'll get it. You have, what I call cycles of these predominant names that have been there for years. We'll take NASCAR for example. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson. These guys have gone, and Kevin Harvick now. That have been there for years and years and years racing, and they've gone into their retirement now. They've left and gone on to do other things. And now you've got the young kids coming up. These young kids, they'll become household names here soon enough. So,
getting back to you and your racing, man. I mentioned your family. It goes back to your grandfather. This is where it goes right. Your grandfather, was he the first?
Yep.
And then you had multiple uncles.
Yeah, my family really started at Pikes Peak in Colorado.
No, you all didn't start at Pikes Peak. You must have. You own it.
The family does. Yeah, the family does. So,
I mean, I was looking at the wins. How many wins did you have there? I've got it somewhere, but I've got too many.
I only had one win there. I only raced there like 3 times, and I followed Mario Andretti's advice. Mario Andretti advised me on Pikes Peak, and this is what he had to say. He goes, that's one of those places that you go, you win, and you never go back. Okay? And that's because going up Pikes Peak is extremely dangerous.
So tell us about that race. I'm not familiar with that. Is it still in existence?
Oh yeah, it's still going. Yep. As a matter of fact, my niece, Lonnie Unser, she races it every year. Okay. It goes up the Pikes Peak Auto Hill Climb is what it is. And It goes up the Pikes Peak Mountain. It's a 12 and a half mile from start to finish. And there's 166 corners in this 12 miles. Okay. You get one shot at it on race day. So you're really racing against the clock. You don't race against other competitors.
Oh, this is like
it's just
over in Europe,
a
the Grand
road.
Prix.
Yep, you're just going up this road, and on race day, a cloud could come over the mountain, rain could come over the mountain. I mean, it's one of those places that truly I followed Mario's advice on.
Well, your Uncle Lewis didn't, because he won the damn race 9 times, I think.
Yeah. I think Uncle Bobby won it 15 times, and because they have different classes. So they have stock cars, they have open wheel cars, they have Porsches go up there. They have all kinds of different classes. And so, Uncle Bobby is the one who is truly the king of the mountain.
Yeah, it's just truly one of maybe the biggest racing families that I know of. I mean,
thank you.
All of this, because I didn't know about the great Uncle Lewis, and he was born in 1898. People, that is how long the Unser family has been stretching across racing in America. So it's been incredible. Winning at Indy, when you win the Indy 500. Yeah, winning. What was that like the first time you win Indy?
Oh gosh, for me it was just like a ton of bricks taken off my shoulders.
No pun intended, I'm sure.
I mean, it was no pun intended. But I grew up as a kid dreaming about the Indy 500, and so I put so much pressure on myself to be successful at Indy because I wanted to do that. My family, my dad and Uncle Bobby, they didn't have any pressure, and whatever pressure they put on me, it didn't equal the pressure I put on me. Okay. And so I wanted to do well at the Indy 500. And so in 92, when we won it, it was just a dream come true from a childhood dream. So, yeah.
I can imagine, because growing up, in the family you grew up in, there was nothing you knew but racing. I mean, you would live, breathe, sleep, be your pillow and blankets were probably racing, tires, whatever the case is.
The family raced snowmobiles. Okay. I mean, during the off season, we would go up in northern New Mexico, and it was Uncle Bobby, my dad, and myself, and we always raced against each other on who had the fastest snowmobile.
Of course, Al Unser Jr. with us right now. And that's another thing it brings up. How does such a prolific racing family come out of Albuquerque, New Mexico?
I have no idea. Okay. I have no idea. Honestly, my family's, my great grandpa came from Switzerland. He went from Switzerland to Colorado Springs. His sons, my grandpa and my great uncles, there was 3 of them, they started racing Pikes Peak. And so then my grandpa ended up moving further south to go, and that's how he ended up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he had a foreign auto repair business. This is when Highway 66 was at its prime, and so he was on the west end of Albuquerque with this foreign auto repair. He worked on Duesenbergs, he worked on Fiats, he worked on all kinds of different European cars and Jaguars, and so that's how he ended up building a race car for my Uncle Bobby, his son, to go up and race, and it had a V12, a Jaguar V12 in it, and so that's how they started winning at Pikes Peak.
Man, that's just like I used to compete in pro rodeo, and they have something similar called it's an OMAC called the OMAC Stampede. That's the name of the rodeo. But they have this deal where they come off of this hill that is it's a Colorado hill, so
Oh my
it's
God.
not really a hill, and just on horseback, and I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. But it's such a great sports area out there. I mean, it's sometimes different, whether it's racing and pro rodeo out in Colorado, outside of the big cities. As a matter of fact, Colorado Springs is the home of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. So surprised you guys didn't get into racing horses as well.
Well, we liked engines, and I myself personally, I didn't enjoy riding horses because they don't have brakes.
Well, they have them, but they don't always use them.
That's right. They don't always work. Where in the race car, they work more than they don't work.
What was the hardest? I know Indianapolis is hard to win. Physically, though, like Pikes Peak, I know what's the physically hardest race, and what is the challenge?
What was physically hard was when it was very hot and very humid, and you were on a road course. So the one race that comes to my mind that really physically demanding was the Cleveland Burke Lakefront Airport. We used to race there every year, and first couple of years
that just sounds hot. You're right off of the lake. I can see all kinds of concrete.
Yep, in the middle of July, it was just 90 degrees outside, 90% humidity.
That does not sound fun. Yeah, it's way too hot for me. Al lost his connection. He'll probably get reconnected here in a second while we wait for that.
There it is.
There we go. Al Unser Jr. back with us.
Yep.
Yeah, that heat is never any fun, no matter what. Switching to NASCAR, it's been in both ways, or anyways, it's hard. Why is it so hard to switch between a series like IndyCar and NASCAR? It wouldn't seem like it would be that difficult, but we see that it is. It's just different.
Yeah, myself, I had very good luck in that aspect where I used to run in the IROC series, the International Race of Champions, and I was able to go from the IndyCar to the IROC car and back and forth, and I was able to adapt to the two cars right away, all the way to a point where there was a time there that in the early 90s, mid 90s, I had several offers to go NASCAR racing, and I'd come up to my dad and ask him what he thought. He goes, "No, they'll take you and eat you and spit you out down there. You don't want to go down there." And so, but I was able to adapt to it, and I felt that had I done that, had I gone NASCAR, I would have been successful at it.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. And because also two-time winner of the 24 Hours of Daytona. If people don't understand, that is 24 hours of nonstop race. It's like Le Mans, just on a different type of track. But talk about that and the challenges there. That's a long time riding a car, and not just once.
Hey, grueling. That race is brutal. I can tell you that 24 Hours of Daytona is it was something that I wanted to do because truly I felt the more racing experience that I got, which is why I did IROC and that sort of thing, I would be a better race car driver at the Indy 500. And so the more experience and the more different situations that I was able to live through would make me a better driver at Indy and be prepared for that. So all the other racing that I did, including the 24 Hours of Daytona, was to be a better driver on race day at Indy.
Well, you certainly did it. I'd like to talk a little more if you have a few more minutes. I've got slam a break in here, a quick 2-minute break, and
Okay.
we'll be back with more. Al Unser Jr., our special guest. I didn't plan on keeping him this long, but I knew as soon as I started researching, there was so much that I'm fascinated by. I'm like, man, there is just so much, and love to take care. Thank you for the opportunity. We're back with more with Al Unser Jr. right after this quick break.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is Fun Day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas for mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, and we are so fortunate to have the great Al Unser Jr. with us, Indianapolis 500 winner and 24 Hours of Daytona winner, and a 6-time winner of the Long Beach Grand Prix. You were smart. You found a race to dominate on the West Coast, man.
Yeah, it was good. In a driver's career, there's racetracks that they go to that everything falls their way. On race day, practice, qualifying, all that kind of stuff. Whatever they decide to change the car goes faster. Long Beach was that for me. And so, in my dad's career, it was Phoenix, Arizona on the oval. He won there 6 times in his career. And so Long Beach was just one of those places that just seemed to fit.
Well, it was a good one. That's a nice place to hang out. The weather is great. Yeah. So you picked a smart one there to win there. And then also, I want to talk about now, you have a place in the Indianapolis area in Avon. But in the winter, you move south wisely, but not just in one place. I love this. You started your track at where Punta Gorda, was that the first stop?
Yeah. Norma and I, we get in the motorhome, and we left Indy in the middle of December, just before that first cold snowstorm, and came down to Florida, and so. We stopped in Punta Gorda for about 30 days, and then we moved over to Boca Raton, which is kind of where we're at right now, and then we're here for a couple weeks, and then we're going to head over to Naples here in a little bit and stay there for a couple weeks. And quite honestly, I'm just watching the weather, and so as soon as it starts getting above freezing, we'll start heading back north, because honestly,
Oh, we're getting back in here. Al's in the motorhome, losing a little connection there, but he'll be back with us in a second as it goes in and out.
But interesting to hear.
Okay.
There you go. Talking about your mom, I think.
My mom. My mom's a wonderful lady. She lives there in Indianapolis. She was the main reason why I moved back from Albuquerque to Indianapolis and was to be with my mom. Just a super wonderful lady. She's in her mid 80s and she's sharper than I am. Okay, she's with it, and so we're truly blessed.
Is she still a fan of the Indianapolis? I know she's a fan, but does she watch the race and all that?
Oh, of course. She loves racing no matter what. So, yeah.
So now you get to venture around Florida. That's got to be fun just on its own. Different places, different people. I know you probably got different groups of people. And Naples, there's a ton of IU-related people down there in Naples. I'm sure you know
Yes,
plenty
there
of them.
is. Yes, there is. What we've kind of noticed is that on the east coast of Florida, you've got the I-95 corridor coming down. So most of the people here on the east side are from the East Coast. And then when you get to the west coast of Florida, most of the people come down I-75 corridor. And so they're mostly Midwesterners.
Yeah, it's there's a ton of people because I know that although we're mainly on radio, but the show is also on YouTube, so we have a huge YouTube audience because there's so many Indiana people that like to head south, and so we love that.
We are official snowbirds for sure.
Earlier, before we started, we were also talking about something that you're involved with now as well. These vintage sim races, which are pretty cool. It sounds like an opportunity for people to step back in time and see history that they missed, maybe.
Yeah, it's called Vintage Indy. Vintage Indy is a registry of IndyCar owners they're well-off gentlemen that have purchased older Indy cars and so on, and they love to drive them and so on. And so we go to different races, like we go to St. Louis, we go to Nashville IndyCar race, and during their IndyCar races, the IndyCar race in Road America and up at Elkhart Lake, and so we go out there. And we kind of simulate a race. They don't actually race against each other. There's no winner, but they go out there and they just drive around the track on display to let the fans get a glimpse of what IndyCar used to be. So we like to just say it. We keep the IndyCar history alive is what we do. So.
And another thing you can see is how dangerous it actually was for these drivers back then, because they're not putzing around at 10 miles an hour, but they didn't have the protection, the way the cars are set up now, all of that, man. It was so dangerous for these guys. And you want to talk about crazy, not giving a crap. They were letting it hang out.
Yeah, they were. It was something else, but at the time it was the safest thing going, and so they didn't know any difference, and so but from the very beginning of we've got cars from the 1930s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and you can just truly see how the IndyCar truly changed and developed and all that kind of stuff. And then because we're there with IndyCar, then you get to see what they're racing today and the speed difference and all that kind of stuff. So it's exciting stuff. I enjoy it.
Do you have any of the cars yourself?
No. I am officially the pace car driver.
That's a great job to have.
So I go out there and pace them around a little bit, and then we turn them loose.
That sounds like that would be a fun thing to do. I know that there's also the Unser Museum. Now that is out in Albuquerque, right?
It used to be in Albuquerque.
Oh.
You're right. Yep, the Unser Museum. It was something that my dad started, and so since his passing and Uncle Bobby's passing, the Unser Museum has now moved to the American Museum of Speed in Lincoln, Nebraska. and they have the Unser collection, which not too many people know this, but Dad and Uncle Bobby really didn't get along about the museum. Any of Uncle Bobby's memorabilia, but now it's all under one roof.
So they finally got it together.
Yes,
they were able to mend the fences without the fences. So that's good to hear, because
Correct.
there's so much.
That's
I mean,
right.
we're talking.
That's right.
That's seven Indy 500 wins between those two guys, and of course you add to that as well. But no more dominant family that there was. And before I let you go, you had a chance. You were watching Indiana football on their journey. I saw a post that you sent out, and that had to be fun. I mean, so have you become an Indiana fan just because you're here in the state?
Absolutely, I've become a Hoosier, no doubt about it. And just watching that magnificent season they had, I was glued to it. They just had just a magnificent season. I mean, to go 15-0 undefeated was just something that's phenomenal. And so who couldn't watch it? This great team, Coach Signetti did just fantastic job. Fernando Mendoza, awesome. The whole team, you just saw, and what it reminded me of is my team with Roger Penske, when I drove with Roger Penske and I won my second Indy 500. The team has to work as a team in order to be successful, and so it just reminded me of those great seasons with Roger.
Yeah, there is nothing more enjoyable than watching something like that, because they weren't the dominant team. They did not have the dominant recruits. It was about performing. It was like an engine where every single, the pumps, the pistons, whatever, everything has to fire right when they're supposed to fire, because if you have one bip, you miss a gear change, gear shift, man, somebody just passed you, and there's no mistakes.
And they did that all season long. They did that at every game. I mean, it was just super to watch, just super to be proud of, and I'm so proud of that whole team. So,
well, we'll have to get you out to a game next year. They have the Indy car that they use for promos. I noticed. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I haven't seen that.
I'll have to get a picture of it and send it to you. Yeah, they've got an Indy car that was draped up, but yeah, definitely they need to get you out there next year to be an honorary captain for. They need to start having honorary captains for all of them.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that and jump at that opportunity.
Well, I have nothing to do with it, but I will make it known, because I think that would be just a heck of a thing for everybody, Indiana fans. And I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to talk with us today. I know that you've got things to do in the warm weather. You're not like us. We're all stuck inside here with all that snow out there. But yeah, man, we had the championship in Miami, but I was like, "Whoo, can I stay here?" Didn't want to leave, but Al Unser Jr., appreciate you, sir.
You got it. Thanks so much for having us, Jim.
I look forward to doing this again during the season. We'll just talk sports, man, or anything you want to talk about. We'll talk more vintage Indy.
Anytime. Let me know.
Al Unser Jr. joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on the Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, Fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Looking for a place to have fun with the family, friends, or both? Head to Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Dave & Buster's has a wide array of games for everyone, and Sunday is fun day, half off of all games. There are $10 wings, $5 drafts, $5 margaritas from mom and dad watching the IU games on Dave & Buster's giant wall TVs and flat screens. Head out to the new Dave & Buster's by College Mall in Bloomington. Eat, drink, play. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. It is a happy Friday because you know why? It's Friday. Every Friday is happy, so we got to like that. Appreciate you being with us. How about that, man? What a special treat. Unser Jr. What a great guy. Yeah, he was. I met him last year at Bob's golf outing, as I mentioned, but just a super great, as normal of a guy as you can imagine. I can see just bumping into him down there and, say, hey, what's up? Let's go grab a cup of coffee or something. But I guess you almost have to you don't have to be normal, but the calmness for someone who used to live their life at 230 miles per hour, the calmness that his normal day life is kind of wild. But man, what a fun conversation. And again, to know that there are so many people, it's not just the fans the normal fans that you think about that were watching Indiana football on their magical run, but you've got guys like 2-time Indy 500 champion Unser Jr. cheering him on because he's a Hoosier. He lives in Avon most of the year when he's not living in his RV down and just bouncing around. And how cool is that? He's not down in some mansion. He's just down in an RV, him and his wife tooling around, enjoying it. I mean, that is as normal as you get. You got to love it. Andrew says, my golf game, not great. I would never call it great. No, it's never been great. It got better last year, I can tell you that. Not sure where that one came from. I guess there was something I missed. But no, it is not great. Don't get to play enough. We end up working too daggone much, and especially when you sit all winter and don't do much. But K-Bro's going to join us next. Another little bonus for you as you head out on the weekend. How about them apples? Yeah, we're setting you up. What a full day we're having here on this Friday. Appreciate everybody being with us. As of course, not a lot else you can do. Of course, I know several of you are at work, even though the roads are kind of pretty much cleared off by now. Even though the roads are cleared off, it's still wild to look out there. And I could see where I had to go out and shovel the pathway off. And that was after it was done once, but it was as if it hadn't been done. There was 8 inches on there when I got to it. But to see the pathway and then to see, 15 or so inches, who knows? It's crazy. Don't forget, if you want to celebrate this national championship for Indiana, you can do so with the national championship football that I was reading about just a little bit ago. Daggone it. Now I lost it. I'll have to refine that or find that and get the information for you and put that up on a link to show you. There we go. So, yeah, these
historic representing football's for the national championship for Indiana. Pretty cool looking. For one thing, they've got one of the panels. The three of the panels are painted white. And one of those panels has that national champions logo on it. On each side of that, you've got the CFP logo, the Rose Bowl logo, the CFP logo, and the Peach Bowl logo as well. There's other information on the other panels as far as the records, the season. I think the schedule is on there, but these are just cool looking things. And if you are a person who likes to collect IU football or IU memorabilia, especially when they do big time things, this is probably one that you need. This has got to go in the trophy cabinet. Hoosier Nation. It's historic. They just completed their undefeated season, 16-0, won the college football national championship. This has never been done by anybody before. We're not talking about Yale from Christopher Columbus days. Now you can own a piece of that history. Introducing the Indiana University Hoosiers 2025 CFP National Championship limited edition football, fully licensed, limited edition collectible. Only 5,000 of these are going to be made. Just think of that. Only 5,000. That means if Memorial Stadium were full, what was it 5% or 10%? Only 10% out of that, period. That's all that there are, period. So get yours. Reserve your right now. Call 800-345-2868. Again, I'm going to put this up on a banner for you guys that are viewing. And then for those that are not, I'm just going to tell you what it is. Add the banner. There you go. It's 800-345-2868. 800-345-2868. Celebrate the championship for Indiana's perfect season. Just give them a call. From Nyko Sports, man. And if you prefer these other ones, now you go to Big Game. These are actual game balls that are made that don't have all of the painting on them. But, I love the smell of that leather. That's from Big Game. So you can go to them as well. Looking forward to our good friend Kevin Brockway joining us here in just a few minutes. K-Bro. I'll leave that phone number up there for folks that can see it. Looking forward to talking to K-Bro about this SEC Big Ten. And earlier I mentioned that let me get back and find this survey that was conducted by The Athletic on the state of the SEC, Indiana, et cetera. There is widespread feeling, according to this, that Indiana's championship was a product of the changes in the sport, not just Kurt Cignetti being that great of a coach. All right, I'll stop right there. Well, of course, changes in the sport were a part of this. Anybody that says otherwise is ignorant, period, and doesn't know what they're talking about. But it was the transfer portal, not NIL. And that's where people get so confused. Indiana did not go out and buy a team. I will guarantee you, Fernando Mendoza was not in the... when I use the word guarantee, and then so all right, let me say it this way. I don't think he was in the top 15 of paid quarterbacks last year. That's just my thought on that. K-Bro joining us right now, just in perfect timing. K-Bro, I was just talking about in The Athletic, there is a they did a survey on the state of the SEC and this, that, and the other thing. But the first thing that popped up was the widespread feeling was that Indiana's championship was a product of the changes in the sport, not just Curt Cignetti being that great of a coach. Well, I'm like, well, no, duh. If without the transfer portal, this doesn't happen, but no one has said otherwise. Of course, you had to have the transfer portal, but it was not NIL that did this. It was the transfer portal because they brought in a whole new group. But even at the end of the day, they averaged 2.5 stars across the board. And I think Fernando Mendoza, I doubt he was in the top 15 of paid quarterbacks last year, K-Bro.
No, I agree. I think, Cignetti's, ability to develop players and ability to, maximize what he had was tremendous, and that cannot be taken away from him nor Indiana, the rest of their coaching staff. I think, for the, for any assertion otherwise is ridiculous. And, the other thing I've heard is the age, they're more physically mature. BYU has had tons of 6 or 7 players. So, that doesn't wash either, that's ridiculous. And there are plenty of other, teams throughout the SEC and college football that had 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, Miami had a few too in that championship game, including Carson Beck. So I don't buy it at all. Indiana won it, based a lot on Cignetti and his staff and some really keen evaluations of players that were probably undervalued. They deserve all the credit. I mean, I'm sure it's quite a time to be on Kirkwood right now. And I saw Indiana beat Purdue earlier in the week too. So it's
how about that? I mean, how about that surprise?
It's yeah, exactly. So maybe the arrow is pointing up on DeVries a little bit as well. So this is kind of a little Camelot time, but certainly what Curt Cignetti has done, you can't discount it. And I think there's a lot of pushback now from the SEC because I think they're finally realizing that they are not the premier conference anymore. And they're trying to kind of use some excuses here and say, well, but the system is bad. And, it's not as, it's not the way it used to be. And it's not fun because we're not winning. You know what I mean? And it's
exactly. But when they say that, I want to say, okay, why is the system bad? Is it bad because you're not the only one that can pay players now, and not that the SEC or every team in the SEC was the only team. They weren't. Let me be honest about that. There were other teams, but what I always say is the SEC did it as a conference. It was a way of life because there are too many instances, whether it's Auburn and going back to Cam Newton and just however far back you got to go. And the fact that those players were basically locked in back then. You didn't have the transfer flexibility. You would have to sit out a year. Nobody wanted to sit out a year. Plus, you were going to stay on a winner. So why leave?
Let's be fair, though, a second, though. I think the under-the-table stuff was going wrong all over college football, not just the SEC. I mean,
that's why I said there were other teams. I just think the SEC is the only one that did it as a conference across the world.
I mean, USC, Miami. I would submit that there were a lot of schools at Ohio State in the Big Ten was probably doing a lot.
I would not disagree. You can pick schools out of these conferences. I'm just saying the SEC did it top to freaking bottom, save for maybe Vanderbilt.
I think there's some schools in, Florida, I would say probably acted pretty ethically, at least from that, which was one of the reasons why they probably fell behind a little bit from 2010 to where they are now.
I couldn't believe that they were the first-time winner of a national championship, which went all the way back to 98 or 6?
1996. Yeah, Steve Spurrier, 1996. So pretty amazing. God, Jim, certainly a heartbreaker from my end with my alum, but it was great for Indiana. And you look back on that block punt, or you look back on, Carson Beck taking that shot down the field when he had time to work the ball more. It was just a little frustrating, some missed opportunities there. But for Indiana,
or if my daughter would say, or if they would have called the pass interference against Miami against Ole Miss, that may have changed things. My daughter's still not happy about the outcome.
That too, but there's tons of things. No, there's tons of things in every game. Look, I will submit to you this with Curt Cignetti. the difference between Kurt Cignetti and Mario Cristobal. 4th and 5, he believes in his team. He goes for it. Mario, 4th and 2, he lays up for a field goal. Like, that tells you the story of the two coaches right there. And, one seizing the moment, going for the moment, the other cowering in the moment.
And that's not the first time we saw that. Now, we saw it a little more earlier in the season from Kurt Cignetti, but these were regular season games and different scenarios. But wow, let's talk about the Onions. Twice they do it in such critical plays. But once again, that almost epitomizes this entire team and their season executing in the time that they have to execute the way they have to execute.
Yeah, no question. How does it project next season? I mean, do you think, I saw they lost Omar Cooper, they lost Surratt. I mean, they're going to be losing, obviously, Mendoza.
They brought in Josh Hoover, who is throwing for more yards than any other quarterback in college football right now that is active. They brought in Nick Marsh from Michigan State. They brought in Turbo Richard, I think, from Boston College. They've got Lee Beebe coming back, Kobe Martin back, so the running backs room is going. I'm not going to say it's going to be as good as this past season because let me tell you, Kalon Black and Roman Hemby, both, but Kalon Black specifically, one of my favorite running backs in a long time. Just how he ran, I'm like, good God, he is like a moving dump truck. God, you don't want to be in front of that. But they're solid. The receiving core is good. They've got guys back. They've got key pieces on the offensive line. They brought in a big-time piece from Wisconsin. The key is going to be Brian Haynes again and turning that defense into a stellar elite defense. Several key pieces back as well. But that's where it starts and ends with any championship, K-Bro, as we both know. You got to have an elite defense, and Indiana did.
Yeah, who is the corner they lost to the NFL draft? That was pretty good. Right?
D'Angelo Pons.
Yes. Nice.
Lewis Moore had 6 interceptions on the season. They had a great secondary, but they're good, really good at each level, and that was the key. You had all of these guys on the defensive line, but several of them stepped up throughout the year. Mario Landino, who will be back. One of those guys, Daniel Ndukwe. They lose Mikhail Kamara, but linebackers, they get Isaiah Jones back and I'm forgetting the other one. But you lose a lot in a big time leader with Aiden Fisher, but that's how it happens. Now we look at the combine coming up, Kevin, and we're going to see an unprecedented number of Indiana Hoosiers, I think, at the combine here in Indiana or up in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and I wonder how many are going to get drafted. What do you think? How many? Obviously Mendoza will be the first overall pick, but what would your projection be as to the number of players on that team that will get picked in the draft? Yeah,
that's a great question, and I that's a hard, solid answer to give, but I mean, total players, you've got Fernando. Does Omar Cooper get drafted late? I don't know that Elijah Surratt gets drafted, but I think he will sign as a undrafted free agent at the worst. But at least Pat Coogan, probably a good shot. Maybe yet another one. The defensive line guys. I mean, it's just going to be hard, unfortunately, for guys like Stephen Daly who are coming off that big injury. But this dude was having a monster year, and he was replacing Kellen Wyatt, who got hurt. So it's hard to say, but I think you're going to see double digits of guys that end up getting signed total between the draft and undrafted free agents without question. But I think you could see as many as 8 guys get drafted, Gabriel, between the offense and the defense.
That'd be pretty good. That'd be a really good haul. That'd probably be a record haul.
Oh, without question.
And so will you be going up to the combine providing some coverage?
Absolutely. Planning on doing the show from there as long as we get credentialed. Haven't done it up there for a few years, so I hope they didn't forget about us. But absolutely, because there's going to be so much going on. You've experienced that before, and it's nonstop action, man. People talking, people over at Lucas Oil. So there's a lot that goes on there.
No question. So what was the highlight of your Miami trip?
Brother, it was a lot of work. Just being able to cover a winner, being able to cover a national champion. That was my first national championship to get to cover, actually, out of all the things that I've done, ironically. But everything is moving so fast and you're doing so much. And even after the game, you're running around like a madman. You're trying to get things done that it's hard to take in because you're trying to capture so much of it. But just being able to be in that environment, I'm honored to be able to get to cover that, to get to bring this information to people, and to be able to do the interviews that I got to do with Mark Cuban or whomever it was, Adewale Agunyile, just so many different people and the many players. I tell you what, man, the thing that has changed over the years, K-Bro, and you know this as well, these players are so well spoken now. That is, before you used to have to drag stuff out of, boy, you'd ask a good question and get a 2-word answer. These guys are all very, very well spoken now.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that in the last decade or two. I was talking with someone that's, just about, I think they're a lot more savvy and they're a lot more intelligent. And I think they realize, these athletes now in this NIL world, that they have to market themselves a little bit, you know what I mean, to get their names out there. So it's a little different. It's almost like, I remember a long time ago when I covered golf in Naples, and it was like the PGA Tour. They used to have like binders of sheets where they would show newspaper clips to people so that they could show them, to market their products. And I think these college football players now are kind of the same way. I think they realize now that if they get their names out there in the media, that it will benefit them in terms of marketing opportunities in the future. So not a bad time to be a sports writer in that regard. Of course, we always know the schools try to control certain people anyway, but hopefully, but when you get, that's the fun thing, when you get to that stage, right? Because like Final Fours, for example, you have open locker rooms. So, it's the access is just so much better than, during, and I'm sure it's the same thing in football, right? Where you have, open locker rooms or more interview opportunities because, they're on the national stage.
Absolutely. And now, after the national championship, one of the things I asked Kurt was about, how do you get to enjoy this? And he was like, he's kind of laughing about it. So, well, we got no time. We've got to do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you can, whatever. No, it is there. You've got to make hay when the sun is shining, and the sun is shining on Indiana right now, as bright as it's ever going to. They have a huge weekend this weekend of recruits coming in, Kevin. They've already had multiple commits right now. On 3, they have the #1 transfer portal class. So and right after the game, they were named as the co-favorite to win it all by a betting favorite. We'll see if that stays that way, but Kurt Cignetti, he wants to stay right where they are.
Yeah, sustaining will be, that's always a challenge, right? And we've seen certain coaches at Indiana that were unable to sustain it, and Kurt's taking it to a unbelievable new stratosphere, and to sustain at that level, I mean, it's just amazing. But hopefully Indiana fans, it's funny because I often say that all fans are entitled to is progress, but at the same time, how do you progress from a national championship, right? So he might deserve a little grace. Todd Golden is going through that this year with basketball, where they were the defending national champion. There were a lot of high hopes. They've got 6 losses now, 2 in the SEC, but they're still in position where they can make the tournament, maybe get a top 4 seed, which would be big because they would be in Tampa. Within the state, and I think that's kind of their goal now. And then you get in the tournament, and anything can happen. And they still have, arguably, down here in Florida, the best, front court in America, with the way Chinyalu, Hauk, and Alex Condon, although he's struggling a little bit, how all 3 of those guys are playing.
What's up next for you, buddy?
Yeah, Florida, Alabama basketball this week. It should be interesting, that storyline with Bediako. I'm sure you saw that, right? And Todd Golden saying, hey, we're going to beat them anyway. So we'll see if they follow through on their guarantee. And that's a 1:00 game on ABC. And our buddy Dickie V is calling the game. He just reached out to me, actually. So he's going to be calling me up at 3 to get some intel on the Gators.
I wish I would have known that. We'd have just had him come on with us together, and we could have done a nice one. But maybe we'll do that soon. Maybe
you never know. Yeah, so
especially with Indiana getting that win over Purdue, they're showing signs of life.
How about our buddy Dusty May and what he's doing in Michigan? Boy, that might be a Final Four national championship team.
No surprise. Doing very, very well, and congratulations to him. And how about the Big Ten in basketball, bro? They've 4 teams right now at the top of the league at 9-1 in conference play.
Big 12 is looking pretty tough too. SEC probably a little down from where they were last year, but they still have some decent teams. So it's going to be an interesting tournament in March.
No doubt. Kevin Brockway, make sure you're giving him a follow and keeping up with him as always.
One more thing, if Kelvin Sampson gets in the Final Four, I don't want to hear anything more about the Lumbee tribe or anything or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like
you've never heard. I've never mentioned that.
No, I'm talking about if you go there. I mean, that's all he freaking talks about. You know what I mean?
From him, yeah.
From him, he just talks about it. How much struggle growing up in the tribe and everything like that. And always sidesteps Indiana questions.
You're lucky you're not here. We have about 14, 15 inches of snow.
Yeah. It's Florida cold down here. I mean, it's supposed to get in the 20s on Saturday night into Sunday.
Good luck with that. We haven't seen 32 degrees in a while. Kevin Brockway, make sure you're keeping up with him. He's a great one. Appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. Hey, thanks to each and every one of you. Couldn't do it without you. Big thanks to Alec Lasley. Zach Osterman will be back with us next week. Big thanks to Unser Jr. Most importantly, each and every one of you. We're back on Monday to do this again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.